Welcome back to the Eric Crown Crypto channel, wishing you a happy and healthy start to this nice Tuesday, snowy morning over here from Helsinki. Anyways, a few new major things to be speaking about today. I want to present a couple of indicators I haven't really been talking about and their subsequent signals and the statistics that go alongside them to generate some pretty interesting potential targets in the next month to month and a half to come. Anyways, with that in mind, I want to start off this analysis by referencing what I think is one of the more interesting things as well, which is the global open interest over here, not to use a bad pun, but the global open interest representing the leverage positions available on the board right now is actually, once again, if we go down to the hourly data feed, above 14 billion. Now, in the past couple of years here, anytime that we have seen Bitcoin put in a major local high, which we have not seen just yet, but we will overlay criteria for that, and the open interest has been, to these levels, 14 billion or more, especially more, that has led to a 20% pullback or more in the past couple of years here, very consistently. And we could actually even extend that to, infinity for Bitcoin. Just really haven't even seen the open interest get above 14 billion before the last couple of years. Anyways, with that in mind, yes, that is a consideration right here. And we have been essentially considering that this, major pullback is likely to come from three particular areas. One of them being where Bitcoin is currently right now. I think that's rather low probability, personally speaking, for the reasons that we're going to go over in this video and for the reasons explored in prior videos as well. Although we're talking about new reasons today. And the next couple regions where I think would be a much more greater likelihood would be about $51,000 to $52,000 on price action, or about $56,000 to $57,000 on price action. So with that in mind, I want to jump right into the content of the day right off the bat here, as we do reference the Gaussian channel on the daily. Elsa's flying around in the background because she needs to answer a phone call. Anyways, in this case right here, we are looking at the Gaussian channel on CME. By the way, I put out a chart on this yesterday, I think, or maybe it was on spot price action on Twitter. But in this case, we're going to go a little bit more into a deep dive. And what I want to reference here is that Bitcoin is getting its first move above the top side of the Gaussian channel on the daily, basically since August, September, October, of course, when Bitcoin was flying above to our current all-time highs. Now, in this case, I want to very specifically reference, and then we're going to go over the statistics that align with this first move above the red zone. So it has to be red in that first move above it, and what it's kind of looked like in the past. So in this case right here, this would not count, although we can also look at it as well because it's coming in from the green zone and getting that first move above the topside Gaussian channel. But we've seen this several times in the past for CME specifically. And the last time that we did see it was, of course, back here in August off of the summer bear trap that we did see. And from that first move up, from that closure above the top side of the red Gaussian channel to the next major high before the next pullback was about a 23% move over the course of 30 days or so. So keep that number in mind as we do explore more iterations going onwards and forwards here, as we pull all the way back now to, of course, April of 2020, coming after the old Rona dump right there, getting your first closure above on the 29th of April and to the next major high before the next pullback into what was a higher low, which did get continuation, obviously, but still, that was about a 22.25% move to the upside done over the course of about 33 days. Interesting. Then we have another one right here coming in from the January failed bull trap in this case, or it was a very successful bull trap, but failed move to the upside, obviously, where Bitcoin gets first closure above on the red zone, rallies up for the next 30 days, doing 22.30% to the upside. Rather interesting right there. There is one iteration where this did not work all that well. I do have a counterpoint to it, and that is simply for the fact that at this point in July 2018, this chart was a little bit too new to really put much faith or emphasis on, but hey, for the purpose of thoroughness, we did see from that first closure above to the next high, which was just the next day, actually was still about almost 5% moved over the course of 6 days. So for right now, as we go into our current iteration right here, this, if we were to run off of that last example, that actually would be somewhat relevant, I guess. I mean, it's about 5% move to the upside as well, done over the course of 6 days or so. But I would go as far as to say that as long as Bitcoin is above, closing these daily doodles on CME above the top side of the Gaussian channel here, which is about 45,500 or so, and we'll be moving with each and every closure, then, I do look at this as more likely to play out the mean of what we have seen in the past with those first moves above the red zone right there. So if we were to add on average, we saw 1, 2, 3 iterations, not in counting what I would consider an outlier over here. It was about, 22 to 23% move to the upside over the course of, about 30 days or so. And in this case, where would 20 to, just above 20% move put us from that level? Well, guess fucking where, man. Guess fucking where. 56 to 57,000 bucks. 23% puts you at basically 57. So 20% probably puts you like somewhere around 56 if I had to guess. Very interesting right there. Probably, again, if we go over the statistics of this, within the next month to maybe a little bit more than that. Of course, we can take this even one step further and go on into spot price action as well, of which I have done here. Or hold on, did I do it over here? I think I did it over here. Yeah, I did it over here. And spot price action is also rather interesting on the daily, as we do see our first color change officially from red to green. So I've gone ahead and done the same thing, just kind of testing out the same areas where we have seen that color change. And, pretty damn similar results, to be fair, for CME, as we do kind of, focus in on those details. But basically this last one, about 23.25% to the upside over 30 days. See another example right here. This one obviously a lot more. So, well, I guess that'd be better for the blue laws, obviously. This one over here, same thing, about 20% to the upside over the course of 21 days. Over here, about 23% to the upside over 30 days or so, or 28 days to be fair. Same thing over here, 27% over 23 days. Not bad. Over here, like much more, so not worth talking about. And then we do have a few examples of failures in 2018, actually, right here. So to be fair, not perfect in this case, but I did suspect that was maybe of relevance for doing a bit of a statistical analysis on this, with very similar results right here. Now, I know what likely someone's going to bring up about this, and they're going to see, Crown, you're just ignoring the 5-day and the weekly, of which, am I ignoring the 5-day? No, not at all. In fact, I've quite a big focus on the 5-day, if anything. But if you're talking about the 5-day Gaussian channel, in this case, yeah, we are seeing potentially our first red tick here. Our first red tick here. Our first red tick here, this will be confirmed as soon as tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern time upon the daily closure, which will also be the next 5-day closure. And, what has that essentially meant in the past? Well, the last time we saw it get its first tick to red over here, the correction was over. Now this was, what I would consider an outlier, but the correction was over, and Bitcoin actually never saw lower than that since then. Over here, yep, first tick red, very, very bad, and down the whole way through. So fair enough, can be quite good in the past as well. Same thing over here, turns red. Bitcoin is trading below the bottom side of it though, I should say, and that one did lead you all the way through. And then over here, again, ticks red for the first time, and that was quite literally on the low, never to be ever tested again. Knock on wood, obviously. I guess things could change around, but that was quite literally, around, well, let me just see. That was at about $5 price per Bitcoin, that is. $5, not like 5,000 or 500 or 50,000, but literally 5, this 5. So fair enough. I don't think that these statistics are relevant in this case for such things. So that is why I choose to not focus on it too much. Weekly, of course, as well, is getting its first couple closures above the median band right here. So I don't really see anything of particular interest with this that we haven't really seen done better on a different, on a different chart. So with that in mind, let's now go into, should we go into the other 5-day chart? Nah, fuck it. We'll go into the short-term timeframes right here. The short-term timeframe range, I do think, is actually rather important for a day like today, because the short-term timeframe range is actually going to naturally coincide with the high-term time frame range. And this is where I really want to put a bunch of puzzle pieces together. Now, I can very easily get incredibly bearish on price action. And because we do have a signal that does suggest, Bitcoin setting up for a 40 to 45% move in the next month to month and a half from this level, which could mean as much as $56,000 to the upside, or as small as 23 to 24,000 bucks to the downside. I do want to consider, what would it look like if we were to get that next major bull trap from this region right here? Well, I would just have to see basically Bitcoin trade below last week's low would be good enough for me, especially if we do close a daily below there as well, or even just below yesterday's low would probably be good enough. Although if you want to go fully by the book, $44,500 is the area to be watching. Until then, I do still look at most things suggesting, or most things that I put a lot of weight on and have actually tested, do suggest upwards and onwards is the more likely thing from a probabilistic standpoint. This is also going off of the daily silver cross, which we've done a million fucking videos on, and also of course this chart over here, or this chart over here, which we've done a million videos on as well, with the 5-day stochastic momentum. That's the wrong chart right here, but should be right here. And the volatility expansion off of these levels. Yes, okay, we get that. So don't want to bore you with the details right there. But yes, if that were to happen, I would be looking for big moves to the downside, and we're going to see this catastrophic unraveling of open interest come from kind of where we're at right now. Very likely lead towards another big move down below $40,000. Probably gonna be bounced along the way, of course, and then probably breaks down further from there, to be fair. But other than that, if we go into the short-term timeframes right here, to the upside, I would actually call resolution to the upside on a 4-hour closure above 47,500. That is 47,500. And yes, I would be targeting the next major move up. First, you're probably going to spend a little bit of short-term time around 48.5, but that's not too relevant towards like a daily, for example. I would generally be looking somewhere around here at about $51,000 to $52,000 in line with the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement. Very likely a big pullback from there, whether it ends up being that 20% one or not, I don't know. But technically speaking, we do have targets higher, and the 618 on a bearish retracement from the high to the low of this last major move would be around $56,000. So good confluence at those two regions. But basically my point is that if we do see even the full hour close above that region, I would be looking for price action to work its way upwards and onwards towards $51,000 to $52,000, in the following week or two. So with all of that in mind, is there anything else that I want to be speaking about right here? Short-term timeframes, I do expect that we got a little bit more short-term sideways. I know that tomorrow's some sort of an FOMC thing, so markets probably move on off the back of that. And then we also got another 5-day closure tonight. So I suppose what I'll leave you with right here is this. The 5-day, I guess we'll go through this chart yet again. The 5-day BBWP is going to get its like full-on confirmation chance to both get an open and closure above the moving average on the BBWP and have a positive slope, which I think that this is kind of overkill, to be fair, but hey, if you want to go by the book, I suppose that would be relevant. But essentially that would constitute expansion extremely likely from this current point. And with our current 5-day stochastic momentum still to the upside, which has been getting, these moves based off of this incredibly well, which again, you can see right here over the past, couple of years has been about a 40 to 45% move on average to the upside or the downside, done over the course of 40 or so days, maybe a little bit more than that, has been very, very good. Well, this will be consistent as long as Bitcoin's closing 5-day dildos above 39,200. Obviously that number is going to drastically shift on this next closure as we get tonight. But it's probably come up above $40,000, which will be like the new major sort of downside signal, I suspect. But in this case right here, I still look at this as more likely to trade up and to the right. Just based off of that and several other things that we've gone over. Other than that, funding rates slowly creeping up as you would expect, but not anywhere super concerning just yet. When it gets like 5 to 10 times its current levels, yeah, that'll be concerning. Very likely does align with a major pullback in mind, but for right now, I look at it as kind of par for the course. Anyways, other than that, I suspect that we do have some short-term sideways here to go still, probably around U.S. market open to maybe tomorrow when FOMC meeting gets going. We do see resolution on this. To put it in short here, even a full hour back down below yesterday's low would probably be bad enough to get that next sort of major continuation of the downside. Again, there's going to be stops along the way, but until then, 47.5 to the upside, or especially a daily closure, a daily closure anywhere above like 47 or 48 especially is going to look pretty damn good for that next continuation drive. Until then, oh, I forgot to even talk about the weekly signal here as well. My apologies. But yeah, among other things, if the downside is confirmed, again, with especially a daily below 44.5, I'd even go as far to say $45,000 is good enough for me to get like very, very bearish. We'd very likely confirm a weekly lower high, which would not just be a lower high on the weekly, but also confirm hidden bullish, or sorry, not hidden bullish, but hidden bearish divergence right here as well, which would have targets well below $40,000 yet again. And over time probably hits into the mid 30s if I had to guess. But yeah, I think that's a good place for me to leave it off right there. There's one thing that I have been noticing on a lot of social media venues, YouTube, Reddit, Twitter, which I kind of go to kind of gauge sentiment. alongside the fear and greed index, which is, pretty much neutral right here. But I'm curious if you have also kind of noticed this as well. But it's definitely been a lot more popular recently to be on the more bearish side. I definitely see a lot more bearish analyses. Not that I don't want to, chastise people for their analysis, whether they're bullish or bearish. I don't really care. But they typically have like some very just interesting analysis, let's say. I'm just curious though if other people have noticed that as well, because that maybe it's just my own, bubbles here. But it seems that more people are a lot more on the bearish side, which, fair enough. Again, if triggers are hit for that, I'm all for it as well, I suppose. But until then, I'm going to go off of what the statistics and probability say. If we go check out traditional markets really quickly, hey, what's that? NASDAQ bullish as long as you're above 14,750, and SPY, same thing, above about 4,500 or so. So it doesn't mean they can flip around here, but I do expect that we have probably another try to the upside here before it's all said and done. Daily BBWP on the floor here as well, so very likely looking at expansion relatively soon. 4 hour says for us it's probably even later today, actually. Latest end of tomorrow, Wednesday. Otherwise, we got some new going on. Anyways, that's going to be it for me today. I want to wish you well. Take care and see ya soon.